like to introduce my colleagues, Meredith Perks and Jackie Mish, who are managing the comprehensive plan project.
So they're doing all the work.
They are.
Good evening, my name is Jackie Mish. As Mike mentioned, I'm joined by Meredith Perks. We are leading the comprehensive plan update, and we're excited to present draft one of the plan to you. Wanted to start off by just providing an updated project schedule to reflect the fact that the City Council determined that the city needs to plan for the future of the former Hillmore Golf Course and provide direction to the property owner as to the type of development that would be acceptable there. Ultimately, this will result in changing the future land use designation of that site. And so this is a revised project schedule that reflects that planning process. We're able to fit that planning process right into the current comp plan update process. And so we aren't going to be adopting it any later than we originally planned, but it does involve a little hustling on our end, especially in the month of October. And so here are our remaining tasks ahead of us. The white tasks are the comprehensive plan tasks. So you'll see the first line, Plan Commission meeting to review draft plan. We're doing that tonight. Following this meeting, we will take the comments that we heard from the Plan Commission to prepare draft 2 and ready for public review in early October. We'll take that to a public open house where the public can tell us what we missed in the plan, what they'd like to add in the plan. And so we can make sure that that plan is ready by the time we get to draft 3, which we are shooting for the end of October, early November, and that will be the public hearing draft. From there, the state statutes require that every city has a 30-day review period for the comprehensive plan, so that'll roughly be the month of November, and then we'll be able to move into a joint meeting of the Plan Commission and Council and public hearing to consider and adopt the comprehensive plan. So by the end of December, you should have your updated comprehensive plan in your hands. And so then, as I mentioned, in the project schedule, we also have interspersed tasks related to planning for the Hillmore site. So we're underway on site analysis and data gathering for that work. From there, we'll develop concept plan alternatives for consideration by City Council and Plan Commission. There'll be a joint meeting with the Plan Commission and City Council on October 9th to review those concepts. And from there, the hope is that we'll be able to synthesize that into one preferred concept by mid-October, and then have a public open house to review that concept around mid to late October. From there, we'll have a preferred concept in hand based on public input, based on council input, based on Plan Commission input, and that will be incorporated into draft 3 of the comprehensive plan. So the two processes basically merge in late October, early November, and then we can move into the rest of the comprehensive plan update process. So we'll make sure that Brenda has these updated schedules so that they can get on the city website so that folks can follow along. Basically, that is the schedule.
Mayor?
Yes.
Is it possible to comment now, or may I make something, a comment on the schedule?
Sure.
Regarding the Hillmore property, the fact that there's so much community interest, should we be having a public input meeting specifically focused on Hillmore prior to the working session with the council and the planning commission? It seems like there's a concept plan that would be developed by the consultants, Vanderwall, and then there's a working session with us and council, and then there's public comment on what we develop. I mean, how do we incorporate everything and all the different ideas that the public have into the plan, rather than them commenting on something that we develop ourselves?
I think
It's a good idea.
That's a great question, and I think, Jackie, you said that you would be incorporating the comments from the public into it, or did I mishear that?
So the first initial alternatives that we'll bring to the Council and Plan Commission, that will be based on the input that we've already heard so far about Hillmore and just our professional planning opinion. And then we will bring that to the Plan Commission and Council for refinement. The idea is that we're not having, the public isn't designing the site by committee. will come with a concept that the public can respond to, which generally goes much better. It's easier for the public to respond to something like that. It's easier to help steer us in the right direction rather than designing by committee.
Oh, shit.
Just wondering, what is the initial focus of the concept plan that you will be developing?
Could you clarify that question?
Is it a combination of residential, commercial, and industrial? What's the combination of land uses?
I believe they talked about that at the finance committee meeting and the council meeting.
No.
Basically, a number of different concepts. Certainly, I think all the concepts will complete involve significant public open space and environmental corridor preservation. I think all the concepts will have some degree of development, including residential. It would not foresee industrial development in any of the concepts.
Yeah, I just have heard through maybe the last 3 months a lot of different public comments, talking to different people. I've talked to some people that are associated with Hillmore, and people have talked about walking paths. People have talked about maybe overflow parking, a boardwalk into downtown. People have talked about maybe a visitor center, maybe a site for the YMCA, which I think was mentioned in the draft of the comprehensive plan. Thoughts of maybe an organic farm, thoughts of maybe a solar area for solar energy farm, and who knows what's out there in the public. I'm not sure we're capturing all the ideas that the residents have about the use of this property. I see it as the last remaining large green space connected to downtown within walking distance for most of the residents in downtown. It's to me a very simple understanding that that's a highly developable property, that it's the default. We could easily just say, let's develop it. And I think developers would line up to have the opportunity to develop that property. The developer has acquired the property, but it wasn't zoned appropriately. We still have the decision, is this what the community wants? And I'm not sure that your plan would incorporate all the different possibilities that the community has discussed to see whether or not that would even be feasible. It's not something, that whatever comes out of this, to me, it's perhaps a 10-year plan in itself for the development of that property. So the idea of just saying, here's where the residential and here's where the commercial goes, the property's so valuable, and from a development standpoint, to me, that's very simple to be done. But trying to collect the public input and Lake Geneva making a final decision as to the amount of green space, the recreational facilities, the public facilities, of what we think would really add to the quality of life of Lake Geneva needs to be incorporated, rather than just moving ahead with residential and commercial and some green space. I just don't see that input being provided.
Well, if I can
Oh, here he comes.
offer an opinion there, I read the first draft, and I thought that the information about the workshops and the comments collected there were, because I went to every single one of them, I think they captured exactly what was being said, and the things that you talked about, the YMCA, which obviously now is not an option, but there was a children's library, there was, I can't remember all the things, but those were included in the comments that are going to be part of what they consider for the plan. But there's no preconceived notion at this point to say, okay, it's going to be residential and commercial. They haven't even done the site assessment. Potentially the site assessment says all it can be is a giraffe preserve, okay? But they have to do that. I think we would hear if we lined up all those comments, I think we would hear those again at a workshop.
We didn't have the community workshop.
You're saying that on the, just to review the concept plan, that's on mid to late October, that would be when we would hear additional public comment, and that should be adequate, is what you're saying?
I think we would then say the comments that we have heard in these previous 4 workshops are either included or not included, and we would want to know why. That would be
Because
part
you
of
wouldn't let us
our
do
job also,
a
is to
community
determine
development
feasibility.
presentation.
I just,
you asked them.
again, personally, I don't think we made a strong enough effort to reach out to the public. I know things were listed on the website for the city. I was invited to one session as a planning commission member, and never served on the planning commission before, and then I was surprised that I missed 2 other workshops that I didn't receive notifications for. I probably wasn't supposed to. It was upon me to check the city's website to find out the dates for the workshops. I think a lot of people are busy at work and may have an opinion on this matter, but they don't check the city's website. This is so important. I just can't emphasize that. I just feel that this really has an impact on the quality of life of Lake Geneva for the next 50 or 100 years, the last chance to really change anything dramatically, and have we done enough to solicit that input? It sounds like we're down to just one last time in mid to late October, and is that enough? Right?
What does the commission think?
Oh, no.
I agree
Agree what?
with his comments that I think we need more public information on this, and for them to come together, have a sit down, I guess, would be the, I don't believe that we're not giving the public enough time to, well, I shouldn't say time, we're not including their comments or their recommendations that they think is fit for what should be done out there, and I think we're trying to push this through pretty quick. That's my personal opinion, so.
Right.
Yes, Alderman Skates.
I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, and I'm not going to yell. But Mike, I will say, I was disappointed. I was at every one except for the Spanish-speaking one, because I don't hablo. But I was at every one, and I was disappointed with the lack of attendance by any of the plan commissioners. And if this group can't be engaged and can't look up on the city website and know when that is, there were a lot of people the topic of conversation at every table at every meeting was Hillmore. Hillmore was overwhelmingly, they got there, and people spoke about Hillmore. And people not only spoke about park atmospheres, they talked about opportunities, YMCA, all the things I screamed about, I guess, at last week's meeting. A lot of people had really good input. I'm really confident Jackie and the folks at Vanderwall are going to include that in there. To have another workshop, I mean, we've done 3 times more this time than we did 10 years ago. And that's a fact. And from the council level and the plan commission, we did that on purpose. We said we want more input, we want more input. We went by district, we went and reached out to the Spanish folks, which was, I think the Spanish group overwhelmed all of them put together. It was a huge number of people that came out and were thrilled that they were asked to come out. But I thought anything that was done at Badger, the 2 districts or the 4 districts that met at Badger, we met at the library, we met upstairs. Again, there were some plan commissioners there, but I think it's a wake-up call. We, as a group, this group needs to be engaged and needs to be not just hearing one side. We need to be hearing the whole thing and what the opportunities are there, and not just Hillmore, but other places around Lake Geneva. So, again, I couldn't let it slide with saying we're not getting it out there. The city, if you check out the website, they daily are updating that comp plan. Came through 2 different times, amended where it was in as quick as it could be. I've been really happy with the outreach, and it comes down to aldermen reaching out, and it's gonna come out to us as a group here, plan commissioners being engaged.
And Doug, if I could just comment, I agree with you that all those workshops were held and everything was listed on the city's website. But that's out of so many ways of reaching people, that's one way. And that seems like the only way, except for maybe an article in the paper. I think I had suggested, can we do things with notifications, maybe in the utility bills? Could we do some advertisements? Can we, how do we get that public input? And when we say the comprehensive plan, I don't think people maybe associate comprehensive plan with Hillmore specifically. I wish I was at more meetings. I thought because I got invited to this one, because we had ranges of dates, then when the formal dates come out, I would get notification. I mean, that's my fault. Now I know better, to check the website, but I don't think a lot of city residents know that. And what I think are missing, or again, if it's overflow parking, to address the parking situation in downtown, maybe it's reserving land for a future public pool. With the citizens of Lake Geneva like that, do we really have the picnic pavilions and the locations in the public parks that maybe that would add to the quality of life? I'm not sure if those details have been expressed through the workshops, through the comprehensive plan. So
If this is the wish of the commission, we can recommend recommend to the city council an additional workshop to happen prior to the October 9th date to the schedule. And then we have to ask Vanderwall to tell us what that additional cost would be, because that would be the purview of the council as well. So that's up to this commission if we want to recommend them.
Next the concept.
Oh, yeah,
plan.
no, I just wanted to, I agree with Mike. I don't think that we don't think people were heard, and I don't believe that we think that their comments weren't written down. I think now, though, when you get to a plan and you actually start having a vision, then that their comments and their feedback is more valuable, instead of it being in a giant wish list. Now, as we narrow it down into a plan, then that feedback is more valuable, I think, and more meaningful. And I just wanted to say is we were very happy that certain groups, ethnic groups came out, but I heard that the words that were just said, and I don't know if this was meant, but that the Spanish people were asked to come out, which is different than saying you need to go to the website and figure out what's going on in the city. So as maybe in the future, there's another way to inform people that there's an event that you'd like them to come to, other than putting it on the city website and asking people to go to the website to find it out.
All right. What's the motion?
Well, if the city would consider it, I would like to make a motion that we have another public input session specifically on the Hillmore property prior to October 9th.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right. The motion was made by Commissioner Kujovic and seconded by Commissioner Stanzik to recommend to the council that an additional workshop based solely on Hillmore be added to the schedule prior to the October 9th working session with the council and the planning commission.
Mayor.
Is that okay? Alderman Gates.
How, are we just gonna put it on the website again? I mean, according to Commissioner Zarko, the people don't have time to go to a website, but they do have time to go to a meeting. And so if we're gonna do this, then we better postcard it, we better get it on some billboards. I mean, if we're gonna do this, let's really do it, because we haven't, up to this point, we haven't got the response. So that's appreciative of the choir, because that's gonna go back to council and FLR, but it doesn't do any good just to do it on another website notice, because you could do 6 more and it will get the same results.
And I'm not saying that they don't have time. You guys don't know? You don't get that?
I do, I was asking him how many people are, you have to sign up for it, so.
Oh, well, I mean, are 1,000 people signed up for it, or 200 people signed up for it?
Yeah, it'd be a PD question, yeah.
I mean, so that might be an avenue of communication.
And could we, maybe there's a special article in the local newspaper, just
There were before.
where before, but again, maybe say this is specifically on the Hillmar property. Perhaps we could reach out to all the different groups and different
Postcard.
committees of the city, send a special mailing out to them,
Postcard,
notification
right.
that they can notify their members and other participants about the possibility, as Doug said, really make the one push effort. And to me, this would be the last of it. Let's get it out there. Let's hear what everyone has to say. One more chance, make sure no one doesn't know that we're, reaching out as hard as we possibly can. Anybody, any group in the audience, the environmental associations, whoever, however we can notify that through the chamber, the business district authority, let's just do a mailing. I don't know who would take responsibility for that.
That's what you need to offer up, because the question that you're posing, or the direction that you're posing, was the direction that we had at the start. And that's why we added 3 additional workshops, including one in each of the
No, nobody got
2 combined
notified.
districts. That was the point of those, and we had a laundry list at the start. Now you made a request to do it a different way. I think what the Alderman's asking, what I would ask is, what is that different way? Give us some input as to how you want this done,
Postcards.
because I think if we're going to do this additional workshop prior to October 9th, which is a short time frame, we need
Push it
we
back.
need not to be nailing Jello to the wall here. So be very, very specific in how you think it should be done.
Well, again, can the various committees be contacted and notified? Again, but this
Okay.
is specifically towards Hillmar.
In my opinion, if you would like to add more public input to the process, I really do think you'd be better served by adding a second open house after the draft concepts are developed. I think you'll get better specific comments about specific design elements that we can actually respond to. I think if we have another blue sky open house, we're gonna get a lot of the same very constructive comments that we've already received. And I don't think it would be a great use of the city's time and effort. I think we'd be better served by responding to the draft concept.
She just wants
And I'm
to
certain that you'll get good
concept.
public input and or turnout if you have the word Hillmore in the advertising.
Yes, Commissioner Stanza.
What is the big reasoning for doing the open house after we meet with the planning commission versus prior?
What I've heard
They get it
tonight,
nailed down.
the planning commission and city council will have refined the options down to 1, and then that would be presented to the public. So if you have it beforehand, there'll be 3 options that the public can become. Is that right?
That's correct.
So that's the difference there.
Yeah, just to reply, I think Vanderwall is an excellent land use planning organization in terms of community visioning for perhaps a greenfield site for community facilities, uses like, walking paths, the things I mentioned with overflow parking, boardwalks, with maybe swimming pools, with picnic areas, with whatever people may come up with. I don't know, we're looking at a vision concept collection of ideas rather than everything through the lens of land use.
We do that type of work all the time. We have a strong design and landscape architecture wing in our firm, and this is definitely something we're equipped to handle.
Yeah,
We just
right.
haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
And some of the residents made comments that, you know, the cut and paste and so forth, it's the blueprint.
All right, well, currently, the motion on the floor is to recommend to the council an additional workshop to be added to the schedule, looking at, specifically at Hillmore, and prior to the October 9th working session between the council and the planning commission. Any other comments on that?
I just want to make sure that, I think if it's before October 9th, then the public gets to see all three designs, and if it's after October 9th, they get to see the one design that the plan and council has picked out of the three. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so is everyone clear on the motion? All right, why don't we use the voting machines to vote? Wait, hang on just a second.
Yeah,
I was
sorry.
wondering.
5 votes yes, 1 vote by Mayor Hart's no.
That was against voting yes.
Yeah.